All right, DevWorld. So it's pretty much the longest continuing Australian iOS, macOS, Apple conference for Apple people. It's going for 12 years, I think now, and it was on last week. So who went? If you went, that's most of you. So this is all going to be fairly dull. There's about 200 people, probably most of the people here, and it's usually 3 days long. This year was 3 days long, and it was all in one big stream, which I think I prefer. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And it was in Melbourne, so it's super easy. I've lost my presenter notes. How do I get that? Do the thing. Press that. No, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. Oh, well, I'll just have to wing it. Wait, that one. Okay. So yeah, loads of great talks. This guy does a talk every year, and he talks about HyperCard. This is just to highlight the diversity of the topics you get. So this is Josh, and he talked about getting HyperCard working on the web, and he had script and WebAssembly and classic Mac emulation, and it's kind of presented it as an alternative history of what the web could have been like had we just done it with HyperCard instead of HTML. And so you had that sort of whimsical talk. We also had other ones, sort of more like Sam Jarman gave a talk about slowly changing things at his large enterprise, slowly at a large corporate, and his advice for doing that. And that sort of had some relevance to me because I'm at a large enterprise trying to slowly change things. But you also had people specifically talking about particular things like Catalyst or SwiftUI, and some guy talked about Flutter, which is actually really interesting. And Renaud gave a very specific talk about self-sizing cells. So it's a good diversity of talks. It was good to have this year as a single stream, as I said, because you didn't have to choose where you wanted to be. You didn't have to choose, do you want to be in this room listening to this talk or in another room missing out on another talk? So you just sort of sat there and got everything. And even if you thought the talk would be forgettable, I still found myself learning a lot and enjoying it. So I didn't think any of the talks were bad, which I think is a benefit of the good culture and the sort of spirit of learning that people at the conference foster. This was my favorite talk. I didn't get a photo of it, but the recording will be put up online very soon. It's about TradeMe, which is an app sort of like a trading app they have in New Zealand. But it's about this Nick Parfini. Not Parfine, I probably spelled his name wrong. Pronouncing his name wrong. He translated their app into Maori, and this is actually quite an interesting exercise. Maori is sort of half-heartedly supported by Xcode. It's there, but he had to actually go and hack the Xcode project thing to get it in. It is supported pretty well in iOS, but so few apps actually run on it. So they thought, why not be the first? And they're one of the biggest apps in the New Zealand market. So they didn't do any machine translations, they just got language consultants and people who knew what they're doing when they're talking Maori to translate the whole app. And this had quite an effect on me. Going an extra mile to support all of your users and in ways which they don't necessarily, ways which no one else is doing. And so I thought that was pretty good. I think the Xcode support for Maori is actually a lot better now because he went and told people in Apple, fix it. This is Rebecca Platt, who talked about UX for printed media. Like, you don't think about this because I always just give people a link. But sometimes you're designing something to print and people like to have it printed. So you actually have to think about it in quite a different way in order to get things right for print media. And so this was some good tips from Rebecca Platt. Another great talk, Lily Ryan, on the history of biometrics. She talked about sort of 200, she is a historian, and she talked about 200 years of people scientifically attempting to measure humans' bodies and thereby classify them into different categories. And that usually goes very badly. This is actually quite thought-provoking given we've got biometrics everywhere now. So that's another one to to watch a recording of. Catering was excellent. There were 3 different kinds of donuts. It was much better than WWDC. This is the thing. Everyone, did you go to the dinner? We went? Yeah. Okay, so this is the best thing about the dinner. One of the most talked about parts of DevWorld is the dinner and the quiz. Our table did really badly, but it doesn't matter because well done. Oh. It doesn't matter because it was all for fun. Yeah, and if you're like me and you're a bit shy and a bit weird, then this sort of stuff helps a lot, right? So I made friends that night. Good stuff. So I'll see you there next year, 2020, right? Come along. That's my talk.